Kia ora, New Zealand. Welcome to Sweet Shane Live. This is episode 52. And boy, do we have an episode for you this evening. We're going to get started very, very shortly. But good evening, Brady Kuech.
Howdy, Matt. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well. We've got a great episode today. On the agenda, we're going to go through the hot scores first up. And then we have our interview with the five-time World Champion Paige Pierce. It's a recorded interview. We did this yesterday, and it's brilliant. I think it's really good. And we'll comment about it at the end, actually. We'll just let you watch it. We've then got our picks for North Island Champs, which is coming up this weekend. We're going to be talking about some of the upcoming events around New Zealand as well. So kicking us off, let's take us through the hot scores. Brady, take us through the South.
Here we go. Starting in the South as South goes. Invercargill, Queen's Park. Ethan Stout takes out the hot round this week, shooting 14 under par. Congratulations, Ethan. Sliding over to Dunedin in Chingford, we have Tom McKay, shoots at -9. Good shooting. Out in Brockville, Tom McKay once again with the hot score coming in at -7. Looks like he is heating up in Dunedin. Sliding up to Queenstown in the Gardens, we have Pete McKay coming in at 12 under par. Out at Tucker's Beach, always sunny at Tucker's, Morgan Hartfeld comes in at 3 under par with a hot round at Tucker's Beach. Congratulations, Morgan. Over the range, let's go to Ely Point in Wanaka. We have Dom Hayden coming in at 6 under par. Lismore Park, we have Matt Pritchard coming in at 8 under par. Up to the Garden City in Christchurch, most popular course in the country, Joseph Barry comes in at -13. Out to Brooker Ave, we have Sergey coming in at -6 this week. Good shooting, Sergey. And at Queen's Park, we have Willie T with a -8. Good shooting, Willie. And lastly, I'd like to shout out one of the newest courses in the country. Apparently, they are getting dozens of players every day now. Congratulations to Chris Corbin from Blenheim at the Taylor River Reserves. Chris Corbin shoots the hot round of -2 this week. So good shooting, Chris. Congratulations on your new course. Matt, take us through the North.
So starting in Wellington in the capital, Simon Fogarty and Brady Kuech take out the equal best round of the week with a 6 under par. And up to Hikoikoi, Keith Furlio, Flavio Mayorga and Aaron Neal all share the honours with 3 under par. Up at Harcourt Park, Evan Williams shoots 4 under, and 4 unders enough for Arthur Horn to also take the honours at Linklater in the mighty Manawa 2. Cross to Flaxmere, Anthony Rogers on the League 18 layout shoots 10 under par, and he also shoots 5 under par at the Spa Park Red course this week. So Anthony heating up in time for North Island Champs this weekend. Over at Inglewood, Trevor Woolman hits 4 under par. And up at McLaren's Falls, Fins and Tail, let us know your name because you shot 6 under par at McLaren's. That's nothing to hide behind. Up at Henderson in Auckland, you've got Josh Love Parrota who hits 8 under par, so well done to him. Elsewhere this week, Scott Woodhouse shot the hottest round of the week at the Wellington Summer League with a 964 rated 4 under par, so well done to him. And last weekend saw the Roxburgh Open played, where Levi Stout beat off David Keane and Morgan Hartveld to take out the win. And in the west side at Woodville, we had Ryan Kittle on the show last week. He talked us through the course in his backyard. And Blair Joins took advantage with a 15 under par tournament score. Ryan came in second with 9 under par. And Wellington's Stan Morris with 8 under par. So well done to everybody there. Okay, next up is, so look, there's no kind of other way to say this. We were really lucky that we got to speak to Paige Pierce earlier on this week, and we've got that interview for you right now. So here we go. Enjoy. Okay, joining us this evening is 5-time world champion Paige Pierce. Good evening, Paige.
Good afternoon from my time zone, but it's good to be here. It's good to kind of join some New Zealand style disc golf talk. So I'm excited to get there one day. And so this is the best case scenario for now. So thanks for having me.
Fantastic, and we certainly love to have you. And we've got a few questions for you today. You're going to stick around for Desert Island Disc Golf and our quick fire round as well, so people can get to know you a little bit better. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to just dive straight into the questions. My first question for you today is, how do you go about preparing yourself for a tournament? Do you have any rituals that you go through, or specific activities that you do either the day before or in the morning of the tournament that get you ready and get you hyped up?
Yeah, I think, it's for me who I'm on tour, right? And so usually I get into town on Monday, and typically the tournament starts on Thursday. So I have about 3 days to really, really get after it and work hard. So Monday is kind of learning the course. Tuesday is narrowing it down, or if there's 2 courses, getting to know the other course. And then that day will be, now I learn the course, and now I narrow down, okay, I threw my Stalker, Passion, and Raptor yesterday. Today I have to make a choice. Which one of those discs am I going to go my go-to? And then which one am I going to use as, hey, if it gets windy, let's throw this one. And then the third day typically will be Wednesday. And in that case, I'm pretty much throwing a 1-shot round and seeing where I land, and then going from there to kind of learn, where am I when I mess up? What is the rough like? And on all 3 of those days, I am, as far as putting, I'm kind of putting on the course. I'm putting like from every different side of the green. I try to pick 20 footers on every side of the green. And then I try to do like 35 footers on every side of the green, just to kind of familiarize myself with, okay, this side has some slippery terrain. This side has 2 trees to avoid. And then the morning of, so I know not everyone gets 3 days to prep. So, but I would still say, no matter what day it is, that's the first thing is learn the course, narrow down your discs, and then also familiarize yourself with where you might want to land. And then for me on like the morning of, it's kind of like doing a disc golf strong workout, making sure my body's warmed up, making sure that I've had plenty enough food, and that it's good food, that I feel like I got enough nutrition to sustain my energy. And then as far as practicing, I try to throw my bag down the field once, back down the field the opposite direction. So I kind of see them in both winds, see what the wind's doing. And really, besides just throwing the disc, I'm trying to be like, when I grab, for instance, my Fierce out of my bag, I'm like thinking, okay, I throw my Fierce on hole 3, hole 6, and hole 12. And then I try to visualize that line in the field, so that, okay, that one I throw it on an Annie, so I practice it at Annie. That one I throw it straight, and I'll practice it straight. So no rituals or anything like that. Just kind of, just that's my basically word for word, like what I do in tournament practice.
That's super insightful for like tournament players over here, like that we don't necessarily have, the touring professional life in those 3 days, but it's good that you like broke it down of, practice your discs, choose your disc, and then, execute those shots. You mentioned that like you go on the putting green and that you practice 20 footers or 30 footers, or that's the 10-meter circle for us in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Being a spin putter, like I know that you've designed the Fierce with Discraft, and you were putting with Deputies back when you were in your dynamic days. As a spin putter, like what made you choose that kind of like beadless, like understable putter compared to like, say, more of a deep dish overstable putter that like traditional spin putters use?
Yeah, I like that you said deep dish. That's funny. Well, for me, I've found the most success in just aiming dead straight at the pole. A lot of times in my earlier years, when I was kind of more of a hyzer putter, I would put it out to the side of the basket, hoping that it would hyzer, and then it would hyzer too late or too soon. And I just told myself, okay, if I'm just aiming straight at the basket, there's none of that wishing and hoping that it's going to hyzer when I want it to. It's just always in line with the pole. So all I have to do is make sure I give it enough power. And so when I'm putting, I'm trying not to just squeak it over the rim. I'm trying to hit it dead straight in the center of the pole every time. So yeah, in that, you know, I obviously wanted a straight to understable putter, something I could fire right at the chains and know that it was going to have the flight that I wanted. There's nothing worse for me. I think almost every putter's equal from 15 feet. There's no benefit to any single putter from 15 feet. But when you back up to 30, 40, 50 feet, then different putter, I mean, you can really tell the differences in putters, because certain putters that are too overstable won't even get to the chains. They'll just start hyzering before they get there, or you have to kind of manipulate your wrist into more of an anhyzer flight to make it go straight enough. So, and that's why you've seen players start to rely on the hyzer putt and aiming it out to the wide of the basket and hoping for that hyzer. So yeah, when Discraft and I made our partnership official, that was the first thing that we talked about was, hey, I want to make sure I have the putter that I want, because I think the putter is such an intimate relationship, right? You know, that's the one disc that you use on every single hole, and you really have to rely on it. That's how you finish the hole. You know, you could park the shot, or maybe not park it, but you could land, 2-3 meters away and get nervous and miss again and miss again. And even if you got close, you can still end up taking a 7 if you're not confident and secure in your putter. So they understood, completely that, if this is something that you need to happen, we understand. We would love for you to do what you want. And as far as the depth, I just wanted it to feel comfortable in my hand, but everyone else's hand as well.
So over the years, you've had quite a lot of success, and some of the tournaments that you've won, you've won by a lot of shots, and you've had a lead going into the final round. So my next question is, how do you, at the start of the final round with a huge lead, maintain the right mental game to ensure that you push through and maybe even extend that lead? Mm-hmm. I guess when you're going up against someone, it's a tight battle. I guess it's a little bit maybe easier to prepare yourself mentally because you know what you've got to do, right? Whereas when you've got a lead, it can be a bit like, I'm just kind of playing on my own. Does that make it easier or harder?
For me, I mean, all I can do is answer my own opinions, right? But yeah, for me, I found that it doesn't really matter what lead I have or what deficit I'm facing. I try to just shoot as best as I can on every single hole. And even if that means I'm up by 12 strokes, let's say, going into the final round, I try not to change any of my game plans until maybe hole 16 through 18 or something like that. But in the thought process of, hey, I want to be better every day. I want to learn how to play under pressure better. I want to learn how to erase these doubts that creep in. So for me, I've found that it's really beneficial to me. Maybe I lose 8 of those strokes because I'm still playing hard, but I found that it is very beneficial for me to pretend that we're tied. Pretend that we're tied and don't think about a lead, don't think about a deficit. And that's easier said than done. But if you can really try to trick your brain into thinking that, hey, we're all squared and I need this birdie and I need that birdie and I need that birdie, then it sets you up for future tournaments where you don't have that lead or where you are tied. And I think the more learning we can do, the better. I don't think that if you have a big stroke advantage that you should just coast and feel comfortable. Because where's the fun in that anyway? You don't learn, for one, and two, it's not fun. You're just sitting there like, no, I'll lay up. Like, who wants to do that? For me, I'd rather throw an ace or an ace run and go OB than I would to lay up personally. It just gets your heart pumping,
So do you check the scorecard as you go round, or do you leave that till the last few holes, or is it just phone off, just throw the best round you can?
I try not to check. There comes certain times where I get curious, or I get like bored, or maybe I'm just like kind of self-sabotaging, like, and I want to make it harder for myself. And I'm like, oh no, I think, that's the first time I've really come to that conclusion right now. But I think, in a way, like we have that little devil on our shoulder, right? That's trying to make life harder. So I think sometimes I do that, but for the most part, I try not to check until the last few holes if I need to know. But for the most part, I can kind of gather where I'm sitting based on the tee order. I kind of know if I'm Bob on bottom of the box, or if I have the tee honors every hole, I kind of know where I'm sitting. So yeah, I kind of, that's my mini goal throughout the round, is to keep control of the card and keep the tee box order. And that kind of dictates how the hole goes too. That's my small goal, my small goal, but my most present goal. Every single hole I'm thinking that, okay, let's get the box back. Let's get the box back, because that dictates how the rest of the round will go, as for your confidence, but also, once you throw a great shot, your competitors have a little bit more of a pressure. Totally. They see you park a shot and they're like, the pressure's on them. You're kind of making the first move. It's like when you win heads or tails, you always want to go first. Always.
Yeah, it's that like match play mentality of like, sweet, like I park in, you shift all of that pressure away and like move that momentum. It's like, haha, it's like foot on the gas. It's either keep up or get off the bus.
Totally. And, a lot of people say, I know this is a long-winded answer now, but I think this is really important because everyone faces these things, right, where you're competing against someone. But yeah, a lot of pros will say this, that, I don't compete against anyone else. I compete against myself. I compete against the course. And there is truth to that. 100%. There's truth to that. But I think a lot of that is just trying to talk humbly and trying to be modest, because you absolutely are competing against each other. And there's lots of situations where that helps you, and I mean, for example, if you make a 50-foot putt and then your competitor only has a 25-footer, that is totally putting the pressure on that player, right? And that's one of my favorite feelings, is when you can tell, oh, wow, there's no way they should have missed that putt. But, your confidence and your, precision dictates what happens. So it really is a cool place to be in, to know that, wow, every move you make is so powerful and so important. So really go after it on every single shot.
Well, I want to piggyback on that a little bit. And I know that this is probably going to be an uncomfortable question, but I'd kind of like to touch upon it. Speaking of competitors and like watching the scores on the final holes and that kind of stuff, would you mind kind of taking us through hole 18 at Worlds, like in the battle between you and Kat? Or is that kind of...
Oh, like, no, I'm an open book. I'm an open book. Yeah. I mean, how long do we want this answer to be? Because like for me, it starts on the tee box,
That's honestly, take it as long as you want, I really want to know, as a competitor, like in chasing, I look at pressure as a privilege, and like you had the privilege to battle for your 6th world title, which maybe hopefully one day I'll get to have, but like you've had that experience. Like, can you share it with us and like our listeners and watchers?
I mean, honestly, like, briefly, I'm going to take it even back a little farther, but hole 16, I make this huge drop zone putt. We all go B, but I'm the only one to make the drop zone putt. So now I have an advantage. And, after I hit that putt, I don't know, as viewers, if you could tell, but there is probably like a 1/4 mile walk, maybe half a mile to get to the next tee pad. And so it's a long walk. Lots of thoughts go through your mind. And, each step I took, my heartbeat was beating faster and faster. And like, I don't have health problems, knock on wood. So I don't know what my heart rate is on average, but I can tell you without a doubt, like it was 10 times what I've ever felt it at in my whole life. It was like the most nervous I've ever been. I can still I'll never forget how I felt in those moments. So, hole 17, I bogey, I give that stroke right back. And so now we're on 18's tee and Kat has the honors. So she throws it, I see where she puts it, and I tell myself, okay, all I need to do is get farther than her so that she has to throw first, because I want to see what decision she makes, because that will help me. If I have to go first and I lay up and then she goes for it, there's nothing I can do. But if I'm in a farther up down the fairway, I get to kind of see what she does and then decide, okay, if she goes OB, I can just lay up. So I have one goal in that moment: throw it farther than her, get past her, make her go first. And hindsight, even after that last answer I just gave you, I want to go first. But in this moment, I think even in hindsight, I would still do the same thing. I still want to know what she's going to do. So yeah, I throw it farther than her and I feel like this sense of relief, but still my heart rate is still the same, but I'm just pumped up now. Now I'm like, yes, the ball's in my court. Totally. I can make this happen. Even if she parks it, I'm closer. I can try to do the same. So we walk across the bridge, we get up there and she's well out of position. She's kind of back on the right, which the Mando is on the right side. So this forced her to have to throw a really, really strong anhyzer over the out of bounds with thousands and thousands of people watching. And she had I played the Utah Open with her the week prior. And that was 2 rounds at that course. And then earlier in Worlds, we played 2 other times at the same course. So I had seen her throw this hole 4 times already. And all 4 times she did successfully make the shot. However, she was more out of position than she was in the 4 previous attempts. So, I'm sitting there watching her, biting my nails, because it's okay, she is absolutely pured the shot 4 times, but there's a lot more nerves. She is 1 stroke down and she's in a worse position than I've seen her in so far. But I saw her grab the same F7 that she had the other times. And I'm like, she's going for it. Wow, she's going for it. And so I just tell myself, okay, whatever happens here is just going to kind of dictate what my decision is. So she lands safe, but I kind of see a little bit of hesitation. So I'm like, okay, she's right on the edge of out of bounds and inbounds. So I know that means she's at 35 feet, the out of bounds line for my course prep and learning the green. It was about 36, 37 feet. And that's not a gimme, especially to win the World Championship. So I told myself, let's not go out of bounds. Let's just lay up and give yourself an easy 200-foot approach. And we're going to take a 4 here. And if she makes it, she gets the 3, we go into a playoff. But I'm telling myself, I don't think that I would make that putt with all those people sitting there and with all that pressure. So I'm saying, okay, let's go for a 4 here. Easy 4. I don't want any trouble. So I lay up. It was exactly where I wanted it to be, right in the middle, perfect distance for a standstill fierce shot that I throw every time, countless times. And then I'm standing behind the lie and I'm definitely, like I said, my heart rate is higher than it's ever been, even still. And it was I'm telling you, it was the highest it's ever been, but also for the longest amount of time. This time frame I'm talking about is 30 minutes. And it was just wow, how is this still happening? Why is this lasting so long? But yeah, I just took some deep breaths. I went through my routine and I went to throw the shot, and I just remember it coming out early. I didn't want to go deep. I didn't want to turn it over. My thoughts were, okay, don't throw it too hard. Don't grip lock and don't sail it too far. You don't want to go be deep. I didn't really even consider early releasing it. But that's what happens when you think about what you don't want to happen.
Yeah.
You're not throwing an accurate shot. So, that was a lapse in judgment as far as my thoughts. So yeah, I'm like, hey, don't throw it too hard. And I throw it too soft. And I just instantly, I was like, oh no. But it did this is also a video, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fairway is like this, but then once you got towards the basket, it came back out into a circle. Yeah. And so I knew, okay, I have a chance. It was hyzering off left. And I was like, okay, but if it gets far enough, at least it'll come to where it gets wider again. And I'm like, go, fly, come on, glide. Yeah. And just barely too short. And, in that moment, I knew my chances went down by probably about 75, 80%, but it still wasn't over. I still could have made that putt.
Yeah.
And made her make her putt. And so I just told myself, don't listen to anything that's happening. Tunnel vision, walk to your disc, set yourself up, go through your routine, make the putt. And I went up to the putt and I knew, it's not like a give me by any means, but I've made that putt before. And I knew, okay, all you can control is this putt. You can't control anything else. So just focus. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I missed it. I'm happy I missed it high. I'm happy I gave it a chance. But yeah, missing that putt, I knew there's nothing else I can do. And that's kind of the moment where I finally could really exhale and breathe and start letting my heart rate go down, because now there's nothing else I can do. She can lay up and still win. So, at that moment it was over. And in a way it was almost like relieving to finally get my heart rate back down. But oh my gosh, heartbreaking for sure, especially when it's a 200-foot approach that I could have, if I go out to the field right now and throw 100 of them, I'm going to nail it 98 times. So, the pressure got me, and all I can do is kind of learn from there.
Well, and I think that's great, that people talk that, you were thinking about what you didn't want to have happen in that moment. You know what I mean? And I can think of hundreds of thousands of players who do the same thing of I don't throw long. And then, but what you do want to, it goes the other way.
Yep.
And so, well, and I mean that, so that kind of leads to this year and in Worlds and that kind of stuff, that we're headed back to Emporia, a place you've had, success in the past, but there's also a lot of wind. We get a lot of wind here in Wellington. So coming off of that kind of battle, for your 6th world title and kind of preparing for your next one, how will the game plan change for the win? And will that kind of battle give you extra fuel for this year?
Yeah. I mean, to the last part, it definitely gives me more fuel. Definitely. I want to redeem myself, not for anybody else other than myself. I want to prove that to myself, hey, this happened, but it doesn't have to dictate your future, But yeah, as far as my chances in Emporia, I think that it's definitely, I feel good about the way I play in Emporia. It's a long open course. Elevation and nose angle is very important because of all the wind and all of the elevation change. Nose power, controlled power with, really precise nose angles. I feel very, very confident in that part of my game. And I like my putt in the wind. I'd put my putt up against anyone in the wind, as a spin putter and someone that putts really hard. I feel very good when I get to Emporia. So, I'm excited to see the courses upgraded, or not upgraded, but they revamped the courses. They made kind of like a safari layout at Jones. And I've heard that they added a couple more wooded holes at the country club. So I'm excited to see what's going on out there. But as far as game plan, I think it's really situational. I can't really predict what's going to happen, what decisions I'm going to have to face, but every day we're learning. So I'm going to kind of take all the tournaments leading up to that as, and be really analytical, almost like after the tournament, go over it like an NBA team would do or NFL team would do. We're not going to have our iPads rewatching the plays, but I'm going to kind of just process those holes and see what I could improve on, basically.
Yeah, and I was going to kind of say, like, kind of picking back upon that, improve to like bring us back into discs, like being fascinated and loving like the line that you've been coming out. You recently came out with the Passion, like a new fairway driver,
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you talked about when you were designing it that, like one of your early Tour Series discs, like was the Stalker, like you talk about still having a Stalker in the bag, like the XL and the XS, like our old Discraft molds. Why change it and come out with a Passion rather than doing like a special or like bringing back the XS or bringing back the XL? Like what?
Well, yeah, the Passion in a way is an XS. It's an XS mixed with a Cyclone, with a couple tweaks. But yeah, so there was some things about the XS that weren't perfect for me. And then I also threw the Flash a lot as a younger player.
Yeah.
And so we liked all of those molds, but none of them were exactly what I wanted. And also it's kind of like a facelift in a way, like,
oh yeah.
So we get parts of other discs and then tweak a little bit and rebrand it, rename it. And, with the new plastic and the new technology that they have, I thought that it was kind of a no-brainer, especially for someone who likes both of those discs, to combine them and then make a tweak or two was really cool. Yeah, there's part of me that just wants to like hype up the old XS and the flashes that I used to throw. But, there are qualities that I really enjoy about them. So that was the main thought was, hey, let's take those qualities I like and then perfect it to what flies well for me. So I think we did a damn good job, and I am so stoked to see one behind you, Matt. And, I've heard nothing but positive feedback about the Passion. It's actually been more successful than the Fierce even. So it's been really, really cool to see and share that love with everyone. When someone tags me in a post, it's like makes me so happy because that's how I feel about it too, and so I know we're not meeting and high-fiving and I get to see you throw the disc, but in a way when you tag me in the post, it makes me feel like I'm there watching you and cheering you on.
So yeah, for any of our viewers out there, if you have a Passion, please, like tag Paige.
Definitely.
Post when you have Passion.
Definitely.
She'd love to see some of them fly, like in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, hopefully it's like a video too. Sometimes I see just a photo with a Passion and they're like, yeah, but take a video, send it to me. I want to see it flying.
Speaking of the Southern Hemisphere, like you and I originally, like met over in Australia for the Aussie Open, like I'm about to host the, like New Zealand Disc Golf Championships here at the beginning of March. How can like tournament directors overseas attract people like yourself and like get you to kind of come out to their tournaments or, like come to their country and play their courses?
I think it's pretty easy to do. We all want to come to New Zealand. We want to come to Australia. That being said, it's like, okay, if you want to, why haven't you been here? And I think that is just the timing of the events, especially if it's for a tournament. A lot of players, you're going to see like me, Paul, Ricky, people at the top echelon will come whenever. But, for players like, that are higher up, but still haven't got that world championship title, maybe like an Adam Hammis, Haley King, what they're going to want to come over there is timing. They're not going to just come over there just to hang and do clinics and play and check out the courses. They're going to come if a tournament coincides with a visit. And that's so that they can try to make a little bit of their money back on the expense of flight and lodging and all that would come in. I think, looking at the U.S. tour schedule and finding some gaps and then planning in those gaps would be huge just to plan the tournament. But then I think just having locals that are willing to maybe host some pros or, some kind of help with a hotel, like if you guys could get like a 50% off hotel rooms for Americans or something like that, I think anything like that would be very helpful. But I know from talking with my peers, a lot of them haven't even made it over to the European Open yet because we got the flight you got to think of, which is already expensive, but then you have to consider the rental car, the lodging, and all of that, the food every day. So when we're here, we can cook our own food. We have our own car. We know where we're going to sleep. So just all of that price that goes into it is pretty expensive. And, I kind of counter that with like, okay, well, the Europeans come here, why can't we go there? But usually the Europeans, and you're kind of seeing this now as they're all putting out their tour schedules, they're coming over for multiple events. They're coming over for like a month. And, so it's worth it because now they have 4 tournaments that they can play in to try to make some money back. We go over there, we have one chance. Maybe we don't play well that 1 week and we lose $3,000. So, wow. I think that maybe making a little mini tour, and especially with you all being on the Southern Hemisphere, like I would try to shoot for that in 2022 or 2023 in the winter and get, 3 or 4 tournaments in a row out there, and we can do like a little mini tour.
Yeah, I mean, it takes advantage of our summer when it's the weather's nice. You can play for longer periods of time. And New Zealand's relatively well set up to receive tourists, right? It's a very touristy kind of nation, if you like. And certainly the hospitality I've experienced from the disc golf community has been incredibly high. So I don't think you'd have any troubles there either. So maybe that's something to look into. Brady, we'll put it on our list.
Awesome. Also, this goes without being said, but like just when we're allowed to come back over there, Alyssa and I actually, before we bought this house, we had like a tab on Airbnb, and it's like 2022 or 2021 off season. And it was like, where are we going to go? Where are we going to spend this off season? We like traveling. We always go overseas in the winter and try to go somewhere warm where we can play practice and, just be warm. And we had a bunch of spots picked out in New Zealand. But, we just couldn't make it happen, unfortunately, with COVID. Hopefully this year is new. New news.
Fingers crossed that it all goes away and perhaps next summer we'll have a few of the US pros coming over. That would be great fun for New Zealand and really good for the community here. You've got a new documentary coming out very soon. You may have seen viewers may have seen the trailer for it. If you haven't, we'll pop it a link to it in the comments. Tell us a little bit more about it for anybody who hasn't sort of seen it or doesn't know what it's about.
Yeah, so it's tentatively, our title is Fierce. If you guys have a better idea, shoot it below or wherever you guys. We want, the whole idea of the film is to show disc golf in a way that people haven't seen it before. Most of the general public, when they think of disc golf, they think, oh, it's just a hippie sport. Oh, it's not really professional. And so we kind of wanted to show a history of where disc golf has been and where it's headed. And so we have like maybe 10% of the film is kind of the history of disc golf. We kind of show all these old clips of Steady Ed and him talking about disc golf. And then we kind of come into where disc golf is now. And so then my film crew came out on the road for 4 months this year and filmed at tournaments. They followed me around and watched me play, but then also got a bunch of behind the scenes stuff, like, players traveling, players, at a campsite, eating dinner, stuff like that, so that you could kind of see what life is like in disc golf. And then like 10% of the film is like where disc golf's headed. So it goes into the growth of the game, all the numbers of courses, all of this stuff, right? And so the way that my producer describes it is that it is the history, present, and future of disc golf through Paige Pierce's eyes. So I'm kind of like the vehicle that drives you through disc golf. And so, yeah, you'll see kind of what the Pro Tour is like, and you'll kind of get, it has a lot to do with the women's side of the sport as well, and kind of equality and showing that, hey, tennis does it, soccer does it. Like, let's get the women to where they're equally paid, equally treated, everything. So we kind of go through the, what is it called? Speed bumps along the way.
Mhm.
And yeah, just showing what we've overcome and what's on the verge of happening, basically.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer looks great, and it looks incredibly well made, incredibly well produced, and really looking forward to putting it together. It must have been a lot of fun to film, eh? There must have been some. I bet there's a blooper reel hanging around somewhere.
Yeah, there's some bloopers in the credits, actually. So yeah, we had a screening of it. I've had 3 screenings of it now, and we're actually doing another one on Friday in just a few days. Because we got Carly Lloyd, who is she's a 2-time gold medalist. She's 4-time Olympian, 2-time player of the year, the U.S. women's soccer captain. She recently retired. And so her schedule freed up a little bit, just enough to get her on the narration. And so she's the narrator. And so just having her name associated with the film is going to be really good as far as gaining more interest from like Netflix or streaming platforms. But yeah, so we're on the final stages. We've seen the film grow. And so, or I guess I'll say I've seen it grow. The producers and the directors and all that, they're obviously doing it every day, but it's cool for me to, not be there. And then 2 weeks later, them send me a revision and be like, whoa, nice work there. Like, wow. So yeah, in the last revision, they added the credits all, and they added a blooper reel. So it's really cute. And, in one of the sections, it's really cool because they it's just inspiring. You're going to cry. Everyone's going to cry for real. Every time I see it, it makes me cry. But the end is just like, it takes you up and down and the highs and lows throughout the film. And then you get to the end, and it's kind of just this like inspirational, like, bottom line is like, hey, you should go play disc golf. This is why all of these people play. And so we have interviews from like 15 different people where they're really getting like emotional about like, wow, this is what disc golf's done for me. This is why disc golf's cool. And so, and the music is awesome. We just, everything in the movie is original. We have a sound engineering team that created all the sounds, all the music. They create the music in-house.
Nice.
And Matt, as one of my Patreons, you've seen the behind the scenes video, and that was in the studio. They have like 15 pianos and like literally every instrument you can think of. They make the songs that's going to go into it. So think about that when you watch the film. And for all of you out there that are like, I thought Paige was making a film. Where is this thing? Like, what's taking so long? Like, think about this when you see it. Every single noise that you hear was made. It's really crazy. So, yeah.
And
very exciting.
With the production quality being as high as it is, I think that adds a bit of credibility to the non-disc golfer to watch it. And was that a real focus of the kind of development of the idea?
Yeah, I mean, Matt, you know me better than anybody else that's going to be watching this. But, for those of you that don't know me, I am all or nothing. If I'm going to do something, I really go after it. I put my entire being into it. And I guess that's probably pretty evident when I'm putting, just laying out and onto the ground trying to make it. But yeah, I really, really wanted this to be as good as it could possibly be. I just got 4 messages from the producer right now, so I'm wondering if that's good news. But yeah, I really just send it completely in everything I do. So when I had this idea, this is kind of how my brain works. I was like, man, we should have, I was just like on a kick of watching documentaries and just feeling so inspired by all these documentaries I was watching on Netflix. And I was like, man, disc golf should have a documentary on Netflix. And just that one thought then turned into 15 business calls over the next 2 days. And like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Hey, let's do this. And, you know, getting sponsors for it before I even had a film crew. And then next thing you know, that was at the All-Stars event last year. So right about this time last year was when that first thought came into my mind. And then after Vegas, I was like, we had 2 weeks off, actually 2.5 weeks off. And I was like, I'm going to go to Utah and start practicing for Worlds. And I did an interview saying that. And someone from Utah sent me an email and said, hey, I saw your interview, saw that you're coming to Utah. Let me know if you need any help filming anything. And I clicked on his little link and it said documentarian. And his email was suggesting like, I can help you film it in the bag or whatever. And when I clicked on the link and I saw this documentarian and like all of his portfolio with all these like Adidas commercials and, you know, all these other things, I'm like, well, it seems like you're kind of overqualified for an in the bag, but how about this idea I had last week, you know? And he was like, well, that's a pretty big project. And I'm like, I'm ready to commit to it. Like, tell me your price. We're going to fundraise. We're going to make this happen, you know? And so it was crazy, you know, once I saw them, and they filmed the first 2 days for free. So 2 10-hour days for free. Wow. And when I got the content back and saw the quality of it, I was like, and that's when he gave me the price point. And I was like, well, that's a number I've never even thought about paying anyone ever. But I think this is going to be huge. And I see the value in the quality, and I see how driven you were. Like they didn't ask for a lunch break or anything. They brought a couple Cliff Bars and they were just like, they were there to work and they were excited. And I was very committed at that moment.
Fantastic. We're looking forward to it coming out. Any idea on a release date?
So like I said, we have another revision that's coming in a few days. After Carly Lloyd recorded, we now have her voice already. She recorded last Tuesday. So 7 days ago, she recorded the narration, and it's already inserted into the film in the exact moments it needs to be. And now what they're working on now, as of last night when I talked to him, was that they are mixing it. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? So now they have to kind of fix the levels. Okay, is Carly's voice a little too hard to hear here? Okay, let's turn her up, turn the sound down, you know, stuff like that to make it blend, he said, so that nothing is like, you're never like, oh, that was a little loud there. So that's the process they're going through now. When we were in the studio with Carly, I said, okay, what do we think the time frame is? And he said, expect 3 weeks, but it could be sooner. So we're looking around 2 weeks from now about for it to be final finished product. But then that's not when you're going to see it. That's when we start pitching it to Netflix and we start pitching it to all these other companies. But at that moment, it's already done. So I don't know how that works yet. Like once Netflix commits to getting it, do they film it right away, or do they premiere it right away? I don't know. But I would be surprised if it's not during this year, if it's not like by summertime.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to it, and obviously keep an eye on Paige's Facebook and Instagram channels to find out release dates. Just coming back to the upcoming season, are there any particular events that you are most looking forward to? Is there a weekend or a course that you particularly enjoy going back to and that is a standout for you?
Yeah, I'm excited like we talked about already, just Worlds and being in Emporia. I think DD Open is going to be a good event too, just kind of a warm up for Worlds, and kind of, you know, that can kind of, you can take that weekend one of two ways. If you played well, you can have confidence going forward, or if you didn't play well, you know, you kind of have to fight these thoughts of like, okay, that doesn't matter. You know, I can reset and what can I improve on, a couple months later. So I'm excited for those two, of course, but also I'm excited I'm going to the Canadian National Championships. That is one of my favorite events, and I love the community there. I love the golf. It's one of the best courses I've ever played at Hillcrest Farms. And it's the last year that my friend Ben Smith, I'm pretty good friends with the TD. He's been a good friend over the years, and it's the last year he's running it. So he asked me if I would come down, and it just so happened that it was on a week that I didn't have a tournament. So I was like, I'll make it happen. Sounds good. I'll be there, and it'll be good to see some Canadian friends that I haven't seen in a couple of years. And other than that, which one was I just looking at on the schedule? Yeah. I mean, honestly, just any chance to get out there and compete is fun. I really liked the OTB Open. I love that style of golf. I'm not a huge fan of ball golf courses, but with the low ceilings and the big mature trees that were very prevalent on the holes, I really enjoyed that style of golf. You have to have the power, but you have to be able to keep it low and penetrate forward. I really enjoyed that style of golf. So I'm looking forward to get back out there as well.
Fantastic. Look, Paige, thank you so much for answering all our questions there. Some really, really good insights into the discs and and your experience at Worlds and the new documentary. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
We're going to move into Desert Island Disc Golf now. So the premise for anyone who's not seen this before is that Paige is stranded on a desert island. Fortunately, there's a disc golf course on this desert island, and Paige has been stranded with 3 of her favorite discs and 3 of her favorite card mates. Her card mates can be alive or dead, real or fantasy, disc golf pros, or people she knows. It can be anyone. So Paige, take us through your 3 discs. What have you brought to the desert island?
Well, I have brought, this one took me a while to decide which plastic I wanted, but I decided to go with the ESP Swirl Fierce. These are gorgeous for one. Yep. If you're stranded and you got to look at something beautiful, here we are. No, but the Fierce is just a good neutral flying putter that can go hyzer, it can go straight, it can go anhyzer, especially in this plastic. This has been, in my experience, the one with the most torque resistance. So I can throw this thing on a hyzer and it'll continue on that hyzer line. But also I can put it on an Annie and it just slowly turns, which is beautiful. And I can get this thing up to like 330, 340 feet. Yeah. So about 100 meters or so I can get this thing. So it's really fun to throw, and it's just such a versatile tool. And then I am going to be bringing an ESP Swirl Passion. This thing is so beautiful as well. The ESP Swirl and Discraft is awesome. So this disc is honestly similar to a Fierce, but add another 200 feet to it. It flies just as far as my nukes and my drivers, but it is a little bit more friendly, I would say. It doesn't want to just tail out and hyzer really hard. And when you turn it a little too much, it doesn't dip over. It just kind of goes straight. It's almost like a Buzz with 50 extra feet. So love this one. Probably my most used disc. And then the last one is a Glow Passion. This is the Z Glow Passion. This one, I know 2 Passions, but this one has a lot more torque resistance. So this one is kind of like a beat-in Raptor, if you will. So it has a lot more give at the end. It'll hyzer off. So if I want something a little bit more stable than this guy, this is perfect. And I actually have been throwing this quite often on sidearm as well. And it holds up the power to go finish right on the sidearm as well. So those are the 3 I would go with. And yeah, I feel like it would be a great time.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a lot of versatility there. We don't know what the disc golf course on the desert island is like, but I mean, you've got a lot of options covered there, I think. Yeah. And who you taking with you? Who's on your card?
Well, definitely Alyssa. Alyssa is my partner, and she is, I mean, I couldn't live without her. So, having her on the island with me would be awesome. I don't think that we would disc golf every day, but if we're on, she likes to throw, but she doesn't like to throw in front of people. So this is actually the best case scenario because she's really competitive and she really likes learning and trying to get better, but she doesn't like doing it in front of people. So this is actually a perfect situation. And yeah, I learn so much from her every single day, even though she's not a top pro disc golfer. She is my coach, basically. She's my disc golf coach. She knows my mind better than anyone else. So she's like, okay, this is how you feel. This is what we should do, and like at Worlds, for example, as well, like every night when we would like be winding down, she would be like, okay, what are you going to do on hole 1 tomorrow? What are you going to throw? And I would be like, my Raptor. And she's like, okay, but tell me, how is it going to fly? What speed is it going to land at? When it hits the ground, is it going to skip? Is it going to slide? And so like, she just challenges my brain to kind of like really manifest what I want to happen and also to just really like perfect it. Then definitely I would have to go with someone that will challenge me competitively and challenge me like physically. And I think that would be Kristen Tatar for sure. I love competing against her. And, I think a lot of people, I see these memes out there. It says like, Paige Pierce hates when Kristen comes overseas, to America, or like, PDJ Rodman or whatever. They always post these things, right? And it's just like, it couldn't be farther from the truth. Back when I would say, what year was that? Evelina won the Memorial and then Waco as well. And everyone was talking about, oh, Hannah and Evelina, the European, crushers. And I was like, man, they better wait till they see Kristen over here because, playing all these years with Kristen at the European Open, like her hyzer flips up to flat with like 400 feet dead accurate hyzer flips. I was like, well, the world's going to be in for a treat when she comes over to the United States. So, I've admired her game for so long, and every time I get to play with her, not only is she super, super, super talented, but she's just the sweetest. And I really enjoy talking with her, but also playing against her. So I think that would be awesome. And then my last one would be, you said 3, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. I think my last one would be, you told me this question was going to happen. I should have thought about this more. I think it would be Kona Panis. I think that she is the next great. She's the next great. I believe that, Juliana and Elaine and Des and Val and me and Kat. And I think Kona is that next echelon of the greatest of her time. And it's amazing. I don't know when this island thing is happening, but it's amazing to watch her progression and to watch her work through confidence things and to see her work so hard. She reminds me of myself, in that if she's going to do it, she does it all the way. And, you see that in her social media as well. Like how are you still competing at the highest level, but she does all of her own social media. She's out there every day promoting, working hard. And, I really think she is on the verge of something truly special as far as accomplishments in the disc golf world. So watching her progress has been awesome for me. And I know only good things are ahead. So I think between the 3 of us out there competing every day, we'll just push each other farther and farther. And, we'll all come off that desert island one day, probably competing with Paul Macbeth.
Good stuff. It sounds like you'd have a great time at the same time. So,
definitely.
So it's fantastic. Right. We're going to now move into our quick fire round. So there's 2 parts to this. There's the family friendly front 9, same questions every week to every guest. And then there's a safari back 9, which takes the format of a this or that, and it changes every week, depending on the guest. So I'm going to go first with the front 9. Here we go. What's your name?
Paige.
Where were you born?
Plano, Texas.
Where do you live now?
Pensacola, Florida.
And your PDGA number?
29190.
And how many years have you been playing?
25.
Your favorite disc?
Passion.
Your favorite course?
Maple Hill.
Your favorite MPO player?
James Conrad.
Your favorite FPO player?
Me.
Excellent. So Brady, take us through the Safari back nine.
Yeah. So this is just a quick fire, this or that, hopefully we'll try to stump you and throw you some curveballs. So we'll start out with fierce or passion?
Passion.
Settlers of Catan or cribbage?
Ooh, Catan.
Home life or van life?
Van life. Plus a toilet.
Okay. Throw pink champion or European Open champion?
European Open.
Chain out for ace or throw in for birdie?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think throw in for birdie.
Full send on a putter or backed off on a mid?
Full send on a putter.
Would you rather beat Garrett Gurthey in a distance contest or beat Ricky Wysocki in a putting contest?
Distance contest. I want to see a disc fly that far. I already impressed myself when it flies 450, but if I could see it fly 800 feet, I would just probably poop my pants.
Would you rather win Idlewild or win the Green Mountain Championship?
Green Mountain.
And lastly, would you rather be an 8-time world champion or finish the year 1,000 rated?
Oh, wow. 1,000 rated.
1,000 rated. Thank you, Paige. That is the quick fire back nine.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Look, thank you so much, Paige, for joining us today. It's been a lot of fun getting to know you a little bit more, and I'm sure that everybody who's watching has seen some insights or certainly learned something that they didn't previously know about you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was going to say thank you so much, Paige.
Okay.
No problem.
See you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Good evening. We are back live. I think you can hear
Welcome
me.
back, Matt.
We're back live now. Brady, that was a great interview, I think. What were your kind of takeaways from it? I've got a few myself, but I'd love to hear what your takeaways from it were.
It was really fun for me to hear just the competitive side of Ness. I really like that answer, and that she was willing to talk about going through 18, and the fact that she talked about that round going back to hole 16, and the idea of I don't know if the viewers could see, but we had a 1/4 mile walk to get to the next tee. And I was just like, what? That we don't see that at all. They talked about it a little bit more with Paul Macbeth and James Conrad leading up to the playoff, that there was a little bit, but it was really fun to hear her go through that. It was nice to hear her talk about her prep, that she goes through, learn the course and then, throw a couple shots and then kind of pick your shot. And then she's like, oh, well, at the end of it, she goes around with one disc and then just gets used to the course and does some putting, I don't want to be here, but I should throw from here anyway. So yeah, just her as a competitor and how her and her coach, Alyssa, her partner, go through, this is what I want to throw. This is how it's going to land. Is it going to slide? Is it going to skip? That she's visualizing and prepping all of that. She truly is a professional. And that's definitely what I took away from that.
Yeah. I had a number of takeaways. The first one was about the comment about not focusing what you don't want to throw, right? So turning it over. Not grip locking it, not throwing it too far, and instead focusing on, well, what do you actually want the disc to do? And I think it's something which certainly I can attest to having happened to me. I'm so focused on what I don't want to happen that actually the shot that comes out ends up being incredibly average at best. And perhaps if the focus was more on what I wanted to do, then it might have had a better outcome. I certainly think that's a lesson for certainly any beginners out there. I also think what came through was the attitude required, well, maybe not required, but the attitude that a top professional has, where this kind of all out attack, if you like, full send on the putter, rather ace run and go OB, those kind of things, that kind of approach to the game. I think when you get to the very top end, then that's what's required to take you to the level that she's playing at. And finally, the interesting point, and in my own professional career, I've known this for some time, but what really came through was the fact that she's got a great coach in somebody who's not a better disc golfer than she is. Right. And I think sometimes it's easy to get caught up in, I need to learn from somebody who's better than me, or because you're a good player, you will then make a good coach. And actually, those skill sets are very different. And I thought that it was interesting that she's got somebody there who she can rely on, who she trusts to coach her, she's obviously not a better disc golfer than Paige Pierce. Paige Pierce is the best lady that's ever played the game. And so I think that's interesting. And if you're sat there going, do you know what, actually that I could be an Alyssa to my partner or to a friend, or I need to find myself an Alyssa, somebody who I can trust and rely on to take that coaching. It doesn't necessarily need to be somebody who's better than you at disc golf. And I think that's an important point as well.
Yeah, so Linga, if you're watching this means Matt wants you on the bag this weekend at Centurion.
I need you as a caddy. Yeah, absolutely. Look, so right, moving on. We've got a few more things to get to. This weekend is North Island Champs up in Auckland. It's the first major of the year. And yeah, it's looking like it's going to be pretty competitive. We've got our picks for the top 5 men and the top 3 ladies. Brady, where do you want to kick us off?
Let's go women's. We just came off a great interview with Paige, so let's stick with the women's side. I'm going to pick Michelle Simpson to take out number 1. She had a little bit of rest. Charlotte's got a little bit of travel, so I'll put Charlotte Dunkley at number 2. She's just coming off a good performance in the west side of Woodville. And then I can't leave her out because she travels and play heaps of disc golf. I will put Amy Whitmore as number 3. Who do you got?
I've got the almost the same. I've got Paula in at 3rd. This is the only difference, being that she's played that course perhaps a bit more than Amy has. And I'm going to take that experience through to the result this weekend. In terms of the on the MPO side, I'm going to back the Sweet Chain Power Rankings on this one. We'll remind, it might be a good time now actually to remind everybody of what the Power Rankings were. And we'll see. I'll get those Power Rankings in a second. But I've got in 5th place, Conor McKinstry. 4th place, Ryan Cambridge. Had a good end to the season last year, and so hoping to push up and see what he can do in the North Island Day, where it's not pitch and putt by any means. And then 3rd place, Ben Willake. Ben's got the experience and the kind of the grit to battle it out on what I suspect will be a very tough weekend at the top. And then the top 2, I'm expecting this to be a bit of a shootout between Jackson and Simon. And really, if it was anyone other than those 2, I'd be surprised. But yeah, it's between those 2. I probably got Jackson shading it at them currently. Any differences?
Yeah, I got one. So yeah, I still got, like you, I put Kana in 5th. He plays well on like those big courses. I think Bethel's will suit him. He'll probably struggle a bit at Bella Rocca. I'm going to put Felipe, the big lefty from Auckland. I know that he's been competing really well last year. He's a nice, quiet, consistent player. So I really like his odds. I have him at 4th. like you, the top three are the same. I got Ben Wheelik. I met him at Bethel's. I know he can play well up there. Hopefully he had a nice relaxed. I saw, like he was out biking and that kind of stuff for the holidays. And that, yeah, I got Jackson and Simon. Honestly, it's going to be if Simon can stay healthy. I know that he was battling a lot of like back issues last year. And so, if he can stay healthy and his back lasts the weekend, like there's no reason why I can't be pushing for the top. But seeing Jackson, he's in arguably the best shape of his life. He's looking amazing. His golf is amazing. I'm hoping his knee, he was still struggling with that a little bit, but he was still shooting pretty hot when he was in the Capitol over the holidays. So I got Jackson taking number one.
I didn't recognize him when he came up to when he was at Hardcore Park and everyone was kind of stood around. I was like, is that Jackson? He's slimmed down, something else. So shot Jackson for putting in the work there. That's fantastic. And I was fortunate enough to play the 1,000 rated round he shot a few weeks ago at Hardcore Park. No mean feat, and looked in really good form. So best of luck to him, and also best of luck to all the Wellingtonians going up, particularly Team Sweet Chains, Francis Orange, Chris Sinai, Scott Woodhouse, Dave Bell, and Dan Verhoeven from the Capital are also travelling up. This weekend also plays host to Wellington Centurion. So this is occurring on Monday. It's Wellington anniversary this weekend. And so everybody in Wellington will be on holiday. And there's 20 players, 5 car horse we've got, who will be whizzing around the Capital playing 101 holes over the course of the day. Brady, you're on the card which tees off first at 7:30. And at Hardcore Park, we played 2.5 rounds at Hardcore, 4 rounds at Petone, and then 2 at Berhampore. Looking forward to it. Oh
yeah, well I got a title. It's a title defense for me. I won last year, like hopefully I can set that pace early on and give you guys all a number to chase throughout the day.
Well, we shall see. There was only 4 of us last year, so including yourself. So there was a bit more competition this year. So interesting to see how that goes. If you're not in Wellington on Monday and you're working, perhaps you're in the office or out in the field and you're bored, then you can log into UDisc and follow the results live. There's a Wellington Centurion event and a big 20-player 101-hole scorecard that you can follow. If your phone will download all of that, and you can follow it along live. So please do. Right. Before we just talk about next week's episode, which is going to be big, we've got another big episode, back-to-back huge episodes coming for you. I need a favor, and I'd like to ask anybody watching, if you're somebody who follows the US Pro Tour and you enjoy playing fantasy sports and you want to be involved in a test, then not an exam test, a test of a new app, then please send me a message, either personally or through the Sweet Chain page. Don't put the comments in, don't put your name in the comments, send me a message, please. I could really do with some help, and I'm after people who follow the tour and would be keen to help test something this season. Lovely.
Secret, right. Yeah, data analytics team is in on this, so...
They are. They've been working hard. So we need your help. Right. Finally, brings us on to next week's show. Next week, we have live on the show will be Avery Jenkins. Will be joining us. If you've been living under a rock for the last year in New Zealand disc golf, then then you won't know that we've had a Discmania 1 in 10 competition. I suppose it's a competition, more of a kind of a application process, I guess, going on. And 10 players were announced at the beginning of the season. And 4 of them are going to be announced on next week's show live by Avery Jenkins as progressing to the next stage, which will be another year representing the Discmania team. And you can, and so we'll find out next week who that is. So make sure you stay tuned. It's been huge news for New Zealand disc golf. We've still got a week to go. If you want to get your picks in for who is going to go through. You have to rewind to episode 50. So that's the week before last. So we're on episode 52 now. Go back 2 weeks, find the comment section there and comment below, if you haven't already, on who you think is going to be the winner. There can only be one, and we don't know what the result is yet. So we won't find out until next Thursday. So yeah, we'll all have I'll have a list of the picks ready to find out who the winner is. Yeah, we'll go with that. And so Leon from NZDSS will be joining us along with Avery Jenkins live next week on Sweet Chain Live. It's going to be a huge episode and some really interesting things. We'll also be able to quiz Avery a little bit on the initiative and Discmania's plans over the following year. Okay, that's all I've got for this week. Very best of luck to everybody playing in North Island Champ. Should be able to stay in touch on the results of that on the PDGA Live app. So make sure that you do. Wherever you're playing disc golf this coming week, take care, play well, get some birdies. See you next week.
Peace.